The Riverbank is a very active place on a summer's afternoon, but just as interesting things happen there at night, you know. And so, for a change, this is a night story, and it's all about the moon. Well, that's not exactly right. It's really all about the moon, the river, and 4 adventurous ducklings. It's a beautiful moonlight night, and Hammy and his friend Roderick Rat are having a late supper. A very fine supper it is, too. Cheese with bacon fat sauce. But such a supper doesn't appeal very much to Hammy, especially since they've had it every night for a week. You see, Roderick loves cheese.
Eat up, Hammy. It's my own recipe, you know. Come along.
Poor little Hammy. He's too polite to tell Roderick that the very word cheese makes his stomach turn over, so he tries to swallow a few more morsels.
Come on, Hammy, I'm worried about you. Growing hamsters have to eat, you know. And we've got a special treat tomorrow. Cheese rinds with dripping sauce. You'll love that.
That finishes Hammy. He just plays with his food while the rat finishes his second helping.
Well, Hammy, what about a breath of air before we go to bed, Do us good, I think. Beautiful moon tonight, isn't it, Hammy? Funny thing, you know, every time I see the moon, I think of those mischievous ducklings.
Ducklings? What have ducklings got to do with the moon? And then Roderick tells Hammy the story of the night the moon came down to bathe. It all began on a night such as the 2 animals are enjoying. The moon was a great gleaming ball of orange tossed up against the inky black sky. Shafts of moonlight drifted over the tops of the trees, gilded the still surface of the dark river, and painted in shining gold the rustling reeds along its bank. The moon seemed so close that you felt that you could almost reach up and touch it. There was no sound except the soft whisper of the river and the croaking of the frogs. Mrs. Duck is asleep with her brood under her wing. But if Mrs. Duck was sound asleep, her children weren't.
Is it safe? Is it safe?
No, it wasn't, for Mrs. Duck woke up and called them back and scolded them for being out, and told them that there was a very special reason why they couldn't be out on this night of all nights.
A reason? A special reason? A very special reason. You see, this is the night that the moon comes down to bathe, and the moon is very beautiful and very shy. Now, she certainly wouldn't like it if she thought that 4 naughty ducklings were watching her. Now, come to bed, or you'll have a special reason for not sitting down tomorrow.
Everything became quiet once more, and the riverbank slumbered in peace. But not for very long, for soon the ducklings escaped again, and this time Mrs. Duck didn't wake up. Now, of course, they were determined to see the moon.
Hey, wait for me!
How strange the familiar things of daytime looked by the haunting light of the moon. It's rather frightening for the ducklings. Yet on they went. But they weren't very happy. If one of them had decided to go back, the others would have been only too glad to follow. But on they went. One of them peered timidly round a rock and stood amazed. And the others, too, stood motionless, gazing at the river. For there, in a little inlet, lay the lovely moon. The ducklings stood frozen in admiration.
Wow, I just simply got to meet her. I'm going in to see her. I am. No. You'll get us into trouble, in terrible trouble. But I don't care. I'm going in anyway, see? Goodbye. No, don't. You mustn't. Mother will be furious.
But it was too late. And then, as his brothers watched breathlessly, the strangest thing happened. For the serene and shining moon suddenly splintered into 1,000 pieces of sparkling, glittering fire, and gleaming pinpoints of light flickered and darted and shot across the water like 1,000,000 angry fireflies. The terrified ducklings watched as their poor, frightened brother struggled towards the bank and scrambled out of the water. And then slowly, a miraculous change took place in all the flashing fragments of light. And the clustered ducklings watched in wide-eyed astonishment as the little particles of light came to rest in the center of the inlet. And soon a great glowing disk floated on the surface of the river. There before their eyes lay the calm and beautiful face of the moon. Now all was silent as they journeyed home, save for the far-off call of a bird. Perhaps it was just the effect of the night, the pale rays of the moonlight, the deep quiet pools of darkness. Perhaps it was just their imagination, but tonight the river seemed to be talking to someone. They stood very still and listened. How strange. Whom could the river be talking to at this time of night? He was whispering to the moon. And so, at long last, they made their way home to their bed. Quickly they travelled back along the crest of the riverbank, and now they looked neither to left nor right, so anxious were they to get home. And tired though they were, they felt very excited and important. There are not many ducklings who've seen the moon come down to earth, who've seen her splinter into 1,000 fragments of light and then make herself whole again.
Well, that's the story, Hemmy. What do you think of it?
Well, she is beautiful, isn't she, Roderick? I wonder if she'll come down tonight,
Well, Hemmy, I don't know whether she does or not. It's none of our business. We don't want to be like those inquisitive ducklings. I think the thing for us to do is to get to bed. It's very late, you know, don't you think?
Funny about the river, isn't it, Roderick?
Why, what do you mean?
Well, he seems so steady and reliable. Who would have thought he'd start whispering to the moon?
Well, You can't tell, Hammy. You just can't tell about people or animals or rivers.
No, I suppose you can't. No.
You're tired, Hammy. Go to bed. Go to bed, old friend. Hmm?
And so he did. And the rat stands still for a moment in the quiet of the evening. High above, circled with stars, floats the moon. Could it be true that one night she lost her temper and burst into 1,000 pieces of scattering fire? It's hard to believe as you look at her now. The ducklings say so, and only the ducklings know. What is Guinea Pig about so early in the morning? What are all those plans and drawings? Guinea has just completed testing his first aircraft. Roderick is out for his morning constitutional. Good morning, Guinea. Oh, good morning, Roderick. Very fancy, my friend, but exactly what is it, Well, it's the design for my aeroplane, Roddy, my new flying machine. Oh, flying machine, is it? Oh, now I've heard everything. Guinea tries his best to explain the principles of heavier-than-air flight to Roderick, but the rat simply cannot understand.
Oh, it's impossible, Guinea, impossible. And besides, it's in very bad taste.
Progress, Roddy, progress. Why, everybody's flying these days, everybody.
Yes, but they're still using balloons if they've got any common sense, aren't they?
Well, perhaps you're right, Roderick. But imagine delivering the Riverbank mail in a flying machine.
Flying machine. Guinea begins construction immediately. He works right round the clock for days on end. And before the month is out, he's ready for the second test flight. What's Guinea been doing lately, Roderick?
Oh, he's building some sort of unlikely contraption, Hammy.
That Guinea is the busiest pig I know. What's he building this time, Roddy?
Oh, he calls it a flying machine or something, or I don't know.
Hammy stops his lunch right then and there and dashes off to have a look. Needless to say, Roderick follows. The hamster is fascinated.
Oh, what a marvellous machine. What a magnificent machine. Oh, whoa.
Hammy, come here.
But there's no stopping Hammy now.
Oh, Guinea, what lovely wheels.
You mean undercarriage, Hammy? Yes, but that's the least of my worries.
Hammy, stop making a nuisance of yourself.
Oh, Guinea, may I look inside, please?
Careful, Hammy. Now behave yourself.
The hamster is behaving himself, or at least he's trying to. He isn't going to break anything, he just wants to look.
Oh, by the way, Hammy, don't touch the propeller.
Oh, what have I done? Oh my goodness, what have I done? How do I turn it off?
And Hammy tries to find a way to stop the runaway engine and the terrible noise. Guinea isn't much help since he never had it running himself, and so Hamster is left to solve the problem alone.
Well, I suppose I could stop it the way I started it, but it might hurt a bit. Here goes. Now. Oh!
And that did it. And he continues to explore the machine in wonder and great admiration, stepping about very gingerly so as not to disturb anything further.
Hammy, you stay out of trouble, you hear? Well, now, how about a demonstration, Guinea, if you think it'll work?
Are you sure, Guinea?
Well, there's no doubt about it, Mr. Hamster. If you'd care to assist in collecting the Riverbank mail, we'll be off.
Hammy handles the mail sack as any eager assistant postman would. Mr. Turtle and the wise old Frog both decide to try the new service. Frog writes a letter to Turtle, and Turtle writes a letter to Frog. Hammy collects the mail and puts it in the official bag.
Well, ready when you are, Mr. Hamster. Hand it up.
The Turtle's fascinated by the whole idea.
Right then. Stand clear.
Hammy, come back.
You're too young. Hemmy, stand by. Prepare for takeoff.
Oh, Guinea, it all happened so quickly. Oh, boy. Hammy has never travelled so fast before in all his life. Oh, Guinea, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Faster, faster. Guinea flies the aeroplane much the same way as he drives his jeep. He is, to put it mildly, a little reckless. But Hammy is having the time of his life.
Oh dear. Oh, they've gone. They've gone. I'll never see Hemmy again. I wouldn't be sure of that, Roderick.
Listen, I hear something.
Hemmy, look out!
By this time, Hammy's almost had enough and says that he'd like to go down now if Guinea doesn't mind.
At your service, Mr. Co-Pilot. Hang on to your hat if you've got one.
The hamster is dazed and stunned. However, he soon gets his bearings and is more than glad to get his feet back on the solid ground. Guinea checks the aeroplane and decides that the only damage is to the mail scattered over the ground, and Roderick is relieved to see his favourite hamster safe and sound. Hammy asks if he can help Guinea, since he asked Guinea to come down, but Guinea manages quite well by himself.
And how about our mail?
Now, there's something you can do, Hammy. As Postmaster General of the Riverbank, I hereby delegate you to deliver the mail.
Delighted with his new position, the hamster distributes his letters immediately.
Why, it's from the wise old frog. Oh, how nice.
Why, I do believe it's from dear old Turtle. How thoughtful. The first flight of the Riverbank airmail service has been accomplished, thanks to Guinea Pig and his co-pilot, Hammy. A daring daylight robbery is about to take place right here along the riverbank. Where? Roderick the Rat's house. When? Early afternoon, or after lunch nap time, to those who take an after lunch nap, such as Roderick. And the goods, certain treasures belonging to Uncle Roderick. In effect, his pipe, his soap, and his pail. The robbers, a couple of juvenile delinquents known as the Hamster Nephews, alias Light-Fingered Bertie and Heavy-Handed Herbie. Not so much noise. Quick. Come on. But it takes more than the patter of little feet to rouse the sleeping rat, and they continue with their plan. First things first, the soap and pail. Light-Fingered Bertie takes care of the pail very quietly, so as not to wake up Uncle Roderick. Ah, there it is. Look out. They've got everything they need, and they decide to borrow Uncle Roderick's shopping net to carry all the loot. Ever so quietly, they make their way towards the door. And Roderick, none the wiser, slumbers on. The wise old frog relaxes in the morning sun, when all of a sudden he hears a very familiar sound.
Why, I do believe the one that makes that noise and those bubbles is my old friend Turtle.
Ah, good morning, Mr. Frog, good morning.
Fine morning, Mr. Turtle.
Well, you certainly seem to be enjoying it, Mr. Frog.
Tell me, do you know how the hamster's young nephews are getting on?
Oh, fine pair of boys they are, obedient and thoughtful.
Yes, fine pair of boys, indeed.
Close by, through the woods, not so far from Roderick's house, is a very cosy little spot, nestled in between the roots of a large tree. Here the boys have set up shop. What mischief are they planning now? Herbie has just filled the scrubbing pail with water and is drying his fingers. Well, this is as good a place as any, Oh, Bertie, do you think we really should, But before he can say another word, his partner pours the soap into the pail of water. I say, but what if Uncle Roderick catches us, Bertie blows until it seems as if his lungs will burst. Then quite suddenly, it happens. The bubble sails far out over the forest. Oh, I say, that was quite a bubble. Yes, I'm all blowed out, Herbie. Now it's your turn. Herbie loses no time in filling the pipe with suds. Then he sits back and blows for all he's worth. Bertie's a bit winded, so Herbie decides to have another go at it.
Mr. Frog, do you see what I see?
Flying bubbles. That's one up on you, Mr. Turtle.
Well, I never.
There's no stopping the hamster nephews now, and the more they practice, the bigger the bubbles become. They each take turns at blowing, and with an extra special effort, Bertie blows a double one. Oh, I say, what a beautiful bubble you are. What a beautiful bubble you are. This makes Herbie determined to outdo his partner. He blows a whole stream of bubbles, one after the other. Up through the trees they drift, rolling and tumbling everywhere. Some head out over the fields. Others race towards the river, as if bent on some special purpose of their own. These bubbles are going somewhere, and the only where to go is in that direction, and it's Uncle Roderick's house. A few were unable to stop and go right by, but most of them that try manage to squeeze in through the rat's front door.
Hey, what? Hey, what's that? Who's there? Oh, nightmare. No, help! I'm being attacked. No. Oh. 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 Help! I'm surrounded. What's going on here? Oh.
Then suddenly it dawns on him.
Why, those little hamsters. They've taken my pipe. And the soap and the bucket, too. Great cheese rinds. Wait till I catch those two. Well, at least I won't have any trouble finding them. I'll just follow the bubbles.
By the time that Roderick reaches them, they've swallowed so much soap that they both look pretty green around the gills. So Roddy decides just to give them a good scolding.
Now get off with you, or I'll tan your hides.
Oh, Uncle Roderick, we're ever so sorry, really we are. Oh, please, Uncle Roderick, we didn't mean any harm. Really we didn't. No, honestly we didn't.
the rat can hardly keep a straight face. Well, it serves you jolly well right. It jolly well serves you jolly well right. It's a fitting punishment for the two young rascals, but unfortunately it doesn't last too long, and Bertie is so ashamed of himself that he hides his head beneath a log. Since no real harm is done, Roderick forgives them, and all returns to normal once again along the riverbank.